think one of the biggest issues with this planet is that they just keep getting hit by Weirdstone all the time, right? At Mordheim, at the site of the Great Maw, in the heart of Lustria when Skaven blew up Morslib, and here at the Warpstone crater, Weirdstone just causes problems wherever it is found, and when Dreadquake mortars and evil magics are exploding all around it, well, it's a recipe for disaster. But the first of quite a few free-for-all and 2v2 battles coming your way, the High Elves, Kislev, Slaanesh, and the Chaos Dwarfs will fight tooth, claw, and hoof to command and ultimately conquer this battlefield. And right from the jump, the dreadliest Dreadquake Mortar will kick things off, firing at the elves of Tor Elisor. XMT Rider of Rohan and Reaver's Mark commands the Azur, who will feel the fiery wrath of that gigantic artillery piece across from them quite a few times this battle, and they are supported in the air by the Omen of Azurian and a Frostheart Phoenix. Phoenixes are a really smart choice against Chaos Dwarfs because of their innate flame resist, which Tyrion also shares, and he'll be leading this army on foot. First shot wasn't crazy, second one probably will be. Straight up gonna delete half that unit of Lothern Seaguard and mess up a bunch of Sword Masters to boot, slow them down on the approach as well. I am commanding the Legion of Osgore, with Drazoath the Ashen as my lord atop Cinderbreath the Bale Taurus. Bull Centaur Renders patrolling the rear, making sure if any bird of prey dives in there. We got some mass and armor-piercing bonus large to mess them up. 2 Infernal Ironsworn, a unit of Fireglaves, and of course that Dreadquake Mortar, a smattering of Hobgoblins to fill out the numbers a bit and basically just throw some chaff into the grinder. Flaming Burbs are headed right for the Dawi Zar. They might force Drazoath to land, and of course, if they can, they will try and snipe out that Dreadquake Mortar. In the meantime, Arokrastic and Black Phillip are facing off on the other side of the crater, Kislev and Slaanesh as their factions of choice. Arrow has a Boris and Barathene build, the Tempest Mage, and some Winged Hussars, Ice Guard, and Armored Kossars in the vanguard. Important to remember that Boris is a beast versus demons, magical halberd, and powerful wave clear with slows that he can unleash when he drops that Shard Blade. Across the way, I believe Hell Scourges were buffed, while Mark of Slaanesh, Sword Marauders, and Hellstriders were all nerfed. We're seeing that reflected here in the army of Azazel, who has opted for a whip front line, 4 Seekers, and double Soul Grinder instead. As for the elves, it's an army of Lothern Seaguard and Sword Masters with 2 birds overhead, led by Tyrion and a Life Mage. Those are the armies. Let's get it poppin', and we're only 30 seconds in, and already the Dreadquake Mortar has fired 3 times. The third shot, not gonna be incredible, but of course there's additional utility when you've got that slow and damage over time, so even if you don't directly impact a formation, you can still cause them some problems. Articuno and his Omen of Azurian friend will have to be exceptionally careful anytime they land, because as we know, Bull Centaur Renders have a ton of mass and a ton of killing power against any large target, armor or no. Ashstorm has been activated, and it is about to get ugly for the Night Ears. Lothern Seaguard stop to fire. Swordmasters naturally want to get in there and engage the Ironsworn, but that overlap is deadly when you're talking the first or second strongest artillery piece in the trilogy, and combining that with additional slows and flaming damage. If you're an Infernal Engineer, you are cheesing ear to ear after a shot like that one. Does not get much more sensual when you're a Dawi Zar, kind of stuff they have dirty dreams about. On the other side, Soul Grinders and the Winged Hussars have made first contact. Earthblood trying to heal up whatever damage has been dealt, but you can't bring back the dead. Not if you're an elf, anyway. Necromancers can do that, but none of those on the battlefield right now that I'm aware of, anyway. Warbear Riders are going right in against the double Soul Grinders. They will need support from Azazel and fast. One of the Soul Grinders is already down to 1/3 health remaining because Tsar Boris the Bear is chunking in from behind, and that bear can tear that ass up, which, yeah, Slaanesh is normally into, but in this situation, probably not the ideal circumstance. And as the Chaos Dwarfs and High Elves get into it, looks like the Omen of Azurian and Articuno have dived into the rear, trying to chunk through that Dreadquake Mortar, but the Bull Centaurs and Drazoath the Ashen are piling in. Slicing shards from the warp, lacerating those poor Wayne Lancers and Ice Guard. Talk about value. 2 relatively expensive units on the Kislev side, both caught out by that, and that'll actually send the light cavalry for Kislev into their semi-routing state. Fire Blood will activate. Soul Grinder has already disappeared, already straight up deleted from the game by that bear combo, and the Carnivores are on the prowl. Really good engagement from Arokrastic, but a nice response from Black Phillip with his bombardment. Another one coming down, this time from the lore of Tempest. Nowhere near as much damage as Slicing Shards, but comes out a lot quicker. It's a lot more spammable and cheap to use as well. Back on this side, Chaos Dwarfs unleashing with their own Naphtha Bombs uphill into the Swordmasters of Hoeth. And we've already seen what these Naphtha Bombs can do to armored elite infantry. Swordmasters are certainly feeling the effects of that first volley, and it'll get even worse for them in the second. The first will typically deal a lot of damage and get each of their models low. Won't necessarily kill a lot, but that second volley is really where that killing starts kicking in. And a huge shot from the Dreadquake Mortar, which is just putting on a disaster class right now. Hobgoblin Cutthroats are like, we're meant to be expendable. Dawizar are like, hell yeah you are, brother. Cheers from Iraq. Explosions with Michael Bay, and the second rank of Cutthroats will definitely dodge Tyrion's Sword of Flame, Sunfang. Swordmasters did get their charge off. Don't have a lot of models remaining. They're less than half strength, and their HP is down to about 1/8 its original value. And yeah, that Dreadquake has no mercy for either side right now. Thankfully for the Dawizar, has not exploded any Infernal Ironsworn or Fire Glaives. The Hobgoblin Cutthroats are not long for this world when the birds are chewing them on one side. They're getting exploded from behind by their own artillery. Kislev might be in a little bit of trouble here. These Hellscourge Marauders are performing pretty well on this patch. They have high MD, they have the poison, they're pretty cost effective, and they're definitely going to trade well into Ice Guard. So Kislev's got to do something with their cavalry to turn the tides, but first they have to deal with Azazel, Prince of Damnation, and those Soul Grinders. Both the demons from the Warp have been taken out. Both have been sent back to the Marcher Fortress in the Warp, but Drazoath the Ashen is causing all kinds of havoc in the High Elves' rear. Cinderbreath, the Baal Taurus, stomping his way through, stampeding his way through a horde of Lothern Seaguard, tying them all down. Kislev is looking like they're on the back foot. Their Ice Guard are being swarmed. Their Kossars are being rear charged by Seekers. The mobility advantage is far in favor of the Dark Prince, and there are not a lot of Winged Hussars or Warbears to stymie their advance. Drazoath decided to shut down the range play on the High Elf side because I think he realized that chunking into the Omen of Azurian or Tyrion wouldn't work out too well due to their flame resistance. Frosthearts do not have flame resist, but the Omen does, and of course so does Tyrion. More Hobgoblin Cutthroat friendly fire. That was to get rid of some Swordmasters of Hoeth, and we're going to start seeing a little bit of buggy behavior on the Dreadquake, which I will explain as it happens. At the moment, Fire Glaives have charged over the crest of the hill. The terrain on this map has not been very conducive to their armor-piercing volleys, the things that they're so well known for, and if they don't have line of sight, they're not going to be able to shoot anything, and frankly, even if they were firing into the Phoenixes or Tyrion, yet again, they would not deal very much damage because 40% of it would be mitigated. So Black Phillip is in the lead with 8,000, Aerocrastic's at 7,000, I am at 6,000, and this is the buggy behavior I was talking about. Right there, the Swordmasters of Hoeth just got shot at by the Dreadquake Mortar, but the thing is, it didn't actually shoot at them. Even if you turn Fire Will off and then target something that's further away, the Dreadquake will shoot at the closest available unit, and in this case, it was a routing Swordmaster that had like 5 or 6 models remaining. So that's kind of annoying because it's only got 15 shots, and that is going to happen multiple times this battle. I will point it out every time it happens. Fire Will is off on the Mortar. Remember that. Now, Azazel is actually a really good duelist for taking on Boris Todbringer. Todbringer? That's the wrong Boris. This is Boris the Bear. Tsar Boris the Red. And Azazel is infantry size, so Boris's Shard Blade will not be quite as effective against him. And of course, when you activate Temptator and all those really powerful dueling abilities, like the Demon Blade for discouraging enemies, well, he's got a lot of tools for taking on really any of the bears over on the Kislev side. Teeny bit of friendly fire on the Infernal Ironsworn with those grenades. Not even sure I realized they still had ammunition left. Not the biggest deal in the world, but not ideal. And the birds are charging past, still going after the Dreadquake, but it's got bodyguards in tow. Bull Centaur vendors are right there and quite literally have a surround off on their own artillery piece precisely for this reason. They have 0 kills right now, but already 2,000 value and have done the majority of the damage to both those birds of prey. But here comes the Life Mage, here comes Tyrion dropping an Earthblood to heal up Articuno and the Omen of Azurian. Drazoath realizes he now has to get stuck in, and the best way he can do so is drop an Ash Storm, which will increase their fire weakness by 20% and slow them by 25. This is exactly what the Chaos Dwarfs need, but of course getting through Tyrion, his HP pool, and all that fire resistance will still prove quite problematic, but they've given the space the Dreadquake Mortar needs to escape. It is very slow. I also think its speed is bugged. We'll talk about that when it comes up a little bit later on in this battle as well, but for the moment, Zarboris the Bear with Foe Seeker activated, taking on a horde of demons and Slaneshi Marauders all by his lonesome. But just like the High Elves brought a lot of flame-resistant troops, so too did the Chaos Dwarfs, and they don't really care much about Sunfang at all. There it is! You just saw it! You saw the attack order that was issued on the Dreadquake. It wanted to attack something over on the Slaneshi side, and Fire Will is off, but it decided, hey, I just want to shoot into the blob that's closer. That sounds fun. Well, the issue with that is they just straight up deleted Infernal Ironsworn from the game. It was 2/3 strength, now it's about to rout, and that's elite infantry that the Chaos Dwarfs really can't afford to be losing at this point in the battle. So even though the Dreadquake has been pimping this game, that kind of friendly fire is unacceptable. And I was not a fan of that. I was crying when I saw that happen because it all happened in slow motion. I'm like, no, please. Zarboris is screaming the same kind of things over here. Slaanesh is BDSMing all over his booty. He has no chance to escape. By Our Blood will activate for him, but it will not keep him on this battlefield. Bull Centaurs routed off by the Phoenix squad. It looks like both of them are still alive. Another shot from the Dreadquake, this time towards the Lothern Seaguard. Just start getting a little bit more value here. There's not much to shoot at this point in the game. There are some Hellscourge whips over the hill, and it was moving in that direction. I don't remember if that was an intentional shot or not. Either way, Drazoath and the Chaos Dwarfs are basically going to wipe their hands clean of the High Elves engagement. There's no reason to fight Tyrion at this point. Maybe they'll leave some Ironsworn to surround him and see if they can kind of slowly grind him down. But 40% flame resist will make it so that both those units, both Tyrion and the Ironsworn themselves, aren't really going to be dealing much damage to each other. That'll take absolute ages. So in the meantime, the rest of the Chaos Dwarf army will move westwards towards the hordes of Slaanesh. The first of the real Dreadquake shots arcing its way over the ridgeline towards the Dark Prince, and this will miss. But there's not a whole lot of value left. There's really not a whole lot of infantry for any of these factions remaining. Not a lot more points for the Dreadquake to garner. It's done exactly what it's meant to. 5,000 value almost is pretty fantastic. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that. You would just like to avoid some of those friendly fire situations that you weren't actively attempting to cause, and destroying my own Infernal Ironsworn definitely made me a little bit butthurt. At the moment, Tyrion slowly grinding his way through those Infernal Ironsworn and getting a decent amount of points for it. Looks like the High Elves are up to 7,500. Big time shot from the Dreadquake. That was sensual, dude. Earthquake is just shattering the middle of their formations. Drazoath is going in for a duel against Azazel, Prince of Damnation. 9,000 points for the Chaos Dwarfs. And looks like about 11,000 for Black Phillip, and Slaanesh Aerocrastic is going to be in last place no matter what happens this game. Kislev has been swept from the field. The Curse of Hashut, causing all kinds of delectable pain and pleasure for Azazel, and it will be enough to take him back to the warp as well. Goodbye. He evaporates, and that will leave his devoted Marauders to try and take vengeance for their lord. Meantime, it looks like the Ironsworn are on their last legs, 2,500 health remaining, but dropping quick as the Lothern Seaguard fire into their unshielded side. Remnants of the Bull Centaur renders the other unit of Ironsworn and the Dreadquake Mortar charging over the top of the ridgeline and heading towards these devoted Marauders of Slaanesh with the whips. When there's a whip, there's a way. Big time charge from the Bull Centaur renders and an Ash Storm to slow down the advance. Magma Breath ripping in from the flank, amplified by the Ash Storm, but still not dealing all that much damage, which was surprising because it was a pretty well-positioned breath attack, and I don't know, maybe the Bull Centaur renders just sent few of them flying and just targeted the wrong side of the unit when the breath attack arced in, but this was surprising, and it was a little bit of a mistake. So the Bale Taurus charges in to the devoted Marauders of Slaanesh, and normally that would just be an instant terror route, right? But these guys have high MD, and they also have the Mark of Slaanesh, and the ITP is going to pay huge dividends here because any other infantry unit in the game, really, that's at that price point would have died, and at least routed off, and the Bale Taurus would have been fine. Fortunately, in this circumstance, because of their poison and because of their high melee defense, they were able to weather the storm, and they are going to chase Drazoath to the edges of the map. Now, I don't think Drazoath could have done a whole lot more this game anyway. Tyrion is the only thing really remaining that's important, and Drazoath simply can't really scratch him at all. And in fact, he probably would have fed the High Elves more points, which Chaos Dwarfs really don't want right now. But the Ironsworn are first into the breach here, and they will take on both units. And the weird thing is, they have 28 speed. The Dreadquake Mortar has 56 speed. And if you go back and watch the difference between their speed as they were coming down that hill, the Ironsworn were like twice as fast, which means the Dreadquake Mortar speed is definitely bugged, or at least not displaying properly. Because it says it has 56 speed when it's wounded. It definitely does not. Look at how slow it is right now. It's running, and it is moving at the speed of like a turtle. Like, that's like 15 speed. That is not 56 speed. Lies. So, go figure. Trains and Chaos Dwarf units are a little buggy right now. I guess it happens, but maybe a little bit too much. Anyway, now they have to advance into a deluge of Lothern Seaguard fire. They've got plenty of ammunition remaining, just not a whole lot of models, so it's not going to be a lot of damage that comes their way from these volleys, but it looks like army loss is just about to kick in for the Ironsworn and the Dreadquake, and as soon as that Dreadquake Mortar goes down, which it will, I was trying to dodge there, I couldn't do it. I was like, this thing's moving too slow, it's too big a hitbox. Trying to dodge back and forth, not able to do it. Dreadquake Mortar explodes. Ironsworn are going to stay in there because they don't care about Sunfang. Only dealt about 120 damage to them, but it's enough to rout them because the rest of their army is gone, and Tyrion will feast with Sunfang in melee, not the breath spell. So now things get really interesting on the points, because the High Elves are going to be the last faction standing, and it's all pretty much down to Tyrion, because the Lothern Seaguard, if anything had engaged them, a stiff breeze would have blown them over. But as he decapitates all these elite Chaos Dwarf infantry who are routing to the edges of the map, I think he's getting some points while he does this. Maybe not a lot. And there's some weird shenanigans that go on with killing routing troops in this game. I think sometimes routing troops just don't give you points at all, and you only garner them if they come back to the fight, and then you kill them while they're still stable. But Tor Elisor was really far behind, and they're going to come back and win by 30 points. Look at that. Black Phillip in second at 11,591. 30 points was the only thing separating the High Elves and the Dark Prince. 30. In a game that went up to 11,500 was the winner. That's insane. If that's not the closest free-for-all match I've had, just from a points perspective, we've had closer ones in terms of battles and what's remaining on the field and single entities with like 100 HP remaining and all that stuff. But simply down to points, if that's not the closest free-for-all match I've ever recorded, it's definitely in the top 3. So, really good comeback from the High Elves there. I guarantee none of you thought the High Elves had any shot of winning this match, given the first 5-10 minutes of that battle. Dreadquake got 5,000 value. Bull Centaurs were also used really well. They got 3,200 and killed off both Phoenixes, essentially. Black Phillip was in the lead for a really long time there. He took a great engagement with his Seekers against Aerocrastic and the Bearcav, he did a great job of taking out the Soul Grinders early, but he really didn't have an answer for the Slicing Shards and then the follow-up from the 4 Seekers, which kind of ran over his back line. But really enjoyable game. Hope y'all had fun with it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.